What's up, gamers? It's Above, back with another video, this time with the updated Fallen Saber GM guide for Season of the Splicer. This Nightfall was in the Grandmaster rotation last season and is known for its hectic close quarter engagements. This week we have double Nightfall rewards for what should be the Adept Izumi sniper rifle. Unfortunately, after running one this morning, it appears to be bugged at the moment and is currently dropping the Adept Plug 1. If they do fix the drops, this solar 90 RPM sniper is the same archetype as the Long Shadow and Eye of Soul, both of which are very meta in PvE right now, and my personal god roll to chase would be Triple Tap and Vorpal. Starting with my recommended team comp, we ran one Revenant Hunter with Aeon Swifts, one Shadebinder Warlock with Eye of Another World, and one Well of Radiance Warlock with Phoenix Protocol. The Revenant Hunter's Silence and Squall dominates close quarter engagements throughout this GM, as it quite literally clears entire rooms. The Shadebinder's Stasis turret that comes from the Bleach Watcher aspect is incredibly strong for ad suppression, as always. Well of Radiance is used to speed up ad clear and keep you safe in even the toughest of choke points, and due to the sheer volume of ads, your Phoenix Protocol will refund the majority of your well every time that you use it. Banner Shield with Ursa Furiosa and Chaos Reach with Geomag Stabilizers are also solid options. As for our weapon loadouts, we shocked the world and ran 3 Anarchies. We also ran 2 Overload SMGs, 1 Overload Hand Cannon, 2 Anti-Barrier Scout Rifles, and 1 Blinding Nade Truth Teller. Anarchy does enough damage when paired with Breach and Clear that you don't really need to run a complementary special weapon. We had one person run a Blinding Nade Truth Teller to help control the hectic encounters, blind the skiffs if needed, and cover the void shields in the boss room. I paired my Blinding Nade Truth Teller with an explosive payload hand cannon, as they are consistent 2-shot stuns on Overload champions. My teammates opted for Overload Ikelos SMGs, as it covers the arc shields, and Warmind cells are insanely strong in this close quarters GM. As for anti-barrier, feel free to use your preference of Scout or AR here. If you don't have Anarchy, Risk Runner makes you an ad-clearing tank due to the amount of incoming arc damage, while Izanagi's Burden and Divinity remain staples of the GM playlist. Diving into key armor mods, we utilized Overload Hand Cannon and SMG, Anti-Barrier Scout Rifle, Reach and Clear for a 35% debuff to champions and bosses when our Anarchy is applied, Taking Charge and Protective Light to reduce incoming damage by 50% when our shields are broken, Global Reach for Warmind Cell detonations, and Warmind's Decree, which allows my Blinding Nade Truth Teller to generate Warmind cells as well. This week's negative modifier, Saber Protocol, increases incoming solar and environmental damage. Though the boss does solar damage, there's actually way more arc throughout this Nightfall, which is why I recommend running Arc Resist and Concussive Dampener to avoid getting one-shot by skiffs and grenades. Jumping right into the Nightfall, we start things off with the infamous Warsat encounter. This tends to give teams a lot of issues, but it's actually quite easy to pace the fight and control ad spawns here. Be careful as you approach, as the Warsat crash can kill you from absurd ranges. Start by scanning your ghost and standing in the circle to capture the zone. As you see the first skiff spawn in, back up to the cliffside behind you for safety and shoot the skiff to expose its turrets. Team shotting these will break them pretty quickly, which will allow you to push up back to the Warsat and clear ads without instantly dying to the skiffs. These are terrifying with the turrets on, so always prioritize these first. Ads will continue to spawn out of the dropship as you progress the Warsat, and this is the first place that your stasis utility goes huge. You can pre-place Anarchy traps where the ads drop out of the skiff, and use your stasis turret and dustfield grenades to freeze them in place. The only enemy you need to watch out for here are the invisible Marauders. They're incredibly fast and melt you if kept alive too long. Once the Warsat reaches 35% capture progress, the first Overload champion will spawn in. It's at this exact moment that you want to step off of the Warsat to avoid overlapping enemy spawns. So stay on the Warsat until 35%, step off, deal with the Overload champion and remaining ads, then step back on to progress the fight. The next important spawn occurs when the cap point reaches 38%. It's at this point that 2 skiffs will spawn in, so step off the cap point, play near the ocean side, and immediately tag the skiffs to expose their turrets. Your first priority should be breaking them, which will make the next wave of ads much easier to deal with. Sniper Vandals will push up to the rock face on your right, so throw your stasis turret up there to suppress them. Once clear, step back on the Warsat, and around 50% capture progress, an anti-barrier servitor will spawn in with another wave of ads. Step back off the plate and use a super to clear the area if needed. When you're ready, hop back on the Warsat until the counter reaches 75%. It's at this point that the fourth and final skiff will spawn in, so take out the turrets, clear the final wave of ads and overload champion, and once the Warsat reaches 100%, the rest of the ads will despawn, and we're moving forward. The next encounter gives teams a lot of issues due to how chaotic it can be, but this is where stasis goes huge yet again. Start by planting a well behind the box as you enter, and place anarchy traps on the door to your left. This helps with the invisible marauders trying to rush you. You'll also want your Shadebinder to throw their stasis turret in the middle walkway to suppress nearby ads. Have your Revenant cast their Silence and Squall right away to clear the majority of the room. A quick bonus tip is that if you have your Revenant stand in the well while their super is active, it will feed the Phoenix Well's super energy. Once the Revenant super is ended, I recommend popping the Shadebinder super as well to clear the remaining ads. The only remaining enemies should be a barrier and overload champion at the back of the room. Take out the first barrier to avoid it making the overload immune. When you do this, 4 sniper shanks and a second overload captain will spawn in. Clear the snipers and keep the overload captains suppressed. Feel free to get finishers here to restock on ammo if needed. Before breaking the fuse to progress the encounter, have 2 teammates head to the back of the hallway from which you entered, and have 1 person break the fuse near the door. With this setup, you can spawn trap the 2 overload captains that spawn in at the back of the hallway. As you push back into the room, use your freezing and blinding grenades to clear the room, and we're moving on. I've received feedback that the Arcstreams encounter has actually caused teams to trip up and wipe a few times, but I have one quick tip that will make it super simple. Take out the snipers at the back of the room and send 1 person forward to grab the arc charge. Your other 2 teammates will literally just stay back and clear the bank to make sure you have a free deposit. As the electricity passes, pick up the orb and begin sliding or jumping repeatedly. You'll be fast enough to beat the nearby ad spawns and avoid the electricity behind you. Assuming your teammates have cleared the area, it should be a free deposit, and we're moving on. The next room is extremely ad dense, so I recommend clearing ads from the doorway, then popping a well behind the pillar on the right. Throw your stasis turret to suppress rushing ads, and cast your Silence and Squall to clear the room. There will be an overload at the top of the ramp. When this champion dies, a barrier champion will spawn in, and when that barrier dies, 2 more overloads spawn in. Cast your Shadebinder super to stunlock these champions at the top of the ramp, clear the ads, and get finishers if you need it. Next up, we have the pre-boss room, and it's absolutely loaded with champions, which is why we clear ads from this hallway before actually entering. Focus on the barrier first, then take out the remaining ads within your line of sight. Once clear, push up and place a well against the wall on the left. This gives you a power position to take on the 3 overload champions that spawn up at the back of the room. Use your stasis turret to suppress them and chain anarchy to clean them up quickly. Feel free to get as many finishers as you see fit, as this will be your last chance to stock up on heavy ammo before the boss fight. The boss room is pretty straightforward. Clear the Shanks and Void Servitors to spawn in Saber 2. Pop a well behind the bit of cover in the center of the room, and apply anarchy to the boss. Make sure to stick the boss and hide behind what cover you have to avoid getting one-shot by the boss's solar sniper attack. The anarchy and breach and clear will health gate it rather quickly, so stick the boss, then keep your head on a swivel to clear the ads and feed super energy to your Phoenix well. Once health gated, a barrier champion will spawn in, and the cover in front of you will go down. To avoid the boss's sniper attack, move to the cover on your left and play the head glitch as much as possible. Once this barrier dies, the boss will become damageable once again. Stick the boss, and this time keep an eye out for sniper shanks that spawn up at the top right. Once the boss reaches half health, a second barrier will spawn in. Take out the barrier, and the boss will become damageable one last time. Pop your well, melt the boss, and the Fallen Saber Grandmaster is a GG. If you found this guide useful, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. I also stream GM help several days a week over my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/above, so feel free to swing on by the stream. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace!